Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Ready, Mike?
Oh, that's getting better.
Alrighty.
There we go. Yep.
Alrighty. I'm glad to have you here. You are the owner of 810 Billiards and Bowling, a combination of food and entertainment. And as I said just prior to our pressing the go button, my husband and I love bowling, but your location isn't just bowling. It has a whole array of entertainment, and people have been stuck at home. They're dying to get out there and have some fun. But before we go to sharing about your locations and 810 Billiards and Bowling, share about your backstory. What even brought you to creating it and bringing the locations to reality?
Sure. So, it was a bit of a happy accident. I worked in finance out of school for about 10 years, and it's an equity options market maker. So I was basically headquartered in Chicago for a few years and then over in New York. And during that time, I always had a great time after work, going to concepts like this, whether it was Brooklyn Bowl or Pinstripes, and we always had a great time. And got a little older, got engaged to my now wife, and we were ready to get out of the city, start the next chapter, start a family, and do that whole thing. And we were on vacation down in Myrtle Beach. My parents had retired there the previous year, so this was spring of 14, and came across a traditional league center built in the late 70s that was in much need of some love, and started thinking, why couldn't a concept like that work in a market like Myrtle Beach? Let's see if it's potentially for sale. Well, it turned out it was. I put in an offer that I thought was fair, but the owner at the time felt differently, and I rejected it out of hand, so we kind of moved on with our life. I took a job as a portfolio manager in upstate New York. We were, getting ready for the move and heading up there to look at some housing options. And on the drive up, the owner of the bowling alley calls me back and says, talk to my financial advisor. If you would still consider that offer, I would accept it. And, my wife and I had one of those moments you'll never forget, kind of look at each other. And I don't think either of us really had any doubt. We knew we wanted to take a shot at it. So we forgot Rochester, headed down to Myrtle Beach, and I suppose the rest, as they say, is history. Although it feels like eons ago. It's been about 6 years.
Wow!
But we closed on that property the end of 2014. Remodeled it from a traditional league center into our mixed-use entertainment, food and beverage concept, and reopened in May of 15. First couple of years out of the gate was trying to figure out, how do we get the customer experience that I want to work logistically and from a system standpoint. There was more challenges in doing a high quality food and beverage operation in an entertainment venue than I would have realized heading into it. But we kind of worked through those, took a lot of feedback from our team and our customers, and honed the menu and bar offerings. And after about 18 months, felt like we had a pretty well-defined concept that was being very well received. Decided we were ready to start scaling the concept, and began our second and third locations also in that kind of greater Myrtle Beach area. They opened in June of 18 and then January of 19, both successfully. And then at that point felt like, okay, I think we've got a little bit of a track record now. We can start exploring the franchise end of things, which we had discussed previously, but didn't feel we were quite ready to support franchisees at that point. So came back to that, and then moved forward with that in 19, and signed our first franchisees in the fall of 19. And that was all going along well. We did a great job, got a great piece of real estate, signed the lease in the beginning of March, and that was March of 20. So as we all know, what proceeded from there was quite a dance of just trying to keep everything on the rails from falling apart. Lots of delays. Everything got real slow, as you can imagine.
Hmm.
Um, but we eventually did keep it together and get construction underway last fall. And so we opened our first franchise unit a few months ago in Chandler, Arizona.
Mhm.
And just last month opened our fifth location in downtown Phoenix.
Wow.
Um, and now we are on to your neck of the woods. With next up is Houston. So that hopefully, as we talked about briefly, will be a couple months out. We should be welcoming you and your husband in by then. And after that, our next few franchises should be opening early next year, which would be they're about to start construction in Greenville, South Carolina, and Fort Smith, Arkansas. And then we're in the real estate search process for our newest franchisee up in New Jersey.
Wow, you have been super busy, Mike. But it's interesting here. You say when you got out of the gate, there's some things you hadn't anticipated. That things were a little choppy and difficult. I'd love if you would just share with our audience some of the greatest lessons you learned when you first got started, and what turned different than you expected, but turned out to be awesome anyway.
Sure. So, I mean, just the logistics of operating full service food and beverage was kind of probably the biggest wrinkle that I didn't anticipate. I figured, well, you build it out and you've got all these entertainment offerings. You do a good job on food and beverage, and what's not to like from a customer perspective. But the reality is, from a systems and technology standpoint, like there's things designed for restaurants, and then there's things designed for bowling alleys and pool halls, and the two weren't really ready to meet. So that kind of led to us initially trying to take a bowling system, basically a point of sale system, right? But it also operates the scoring for all your bowlers, and use that for our building wide food and beverage. That was an unmitigated disaster. They told us it did all these things, right? And then you get into where the rubber meets the road, and it's like it doesn't do any of the things we need. What it really did was it would allow you to use it if you were doing like a snack bar, as a traditional bowling alley often would, right? Just a quick serve type of transaction. But as soon as we wanted to go to full service, lane side service, being able to split checks and assign seats and have different fire times for different appetizers versus entrees, things that would be standard in a food and beverage system, were way beyond anything that these bowling systems were capable of. So, it was a steep learning curve, but basically we went back to the basics and kind of started over from scratch from the system standpoint. I think that one of the things that turned out to be a big benefit for us, that I wouldn't have called it that at the time, was I have no bowling background. I mean, I bowled in a league when I was a little kid, but that's about it. I'm a terrible bowler. Just always had a great time with the food and beer, and losing money to my buddies on the bowling lanes. So I had no preconceived notions about the way bowling was supposed to operate, how things were supposed to be structured. Just kind of came in and said, well, here's a customer experience that we want to deliver. How many hurdles are we going to have to clear in order to figure out how to do that? And that actually led to, I think, a unique setup in the industry, that we kind of do things very differently. But when we rebuilt kind of from the ground up with an iOS-based platform, efficiencies were so much better. We have large footprints, so saving our servers and managers and bartenders steps through the course of the day and the shift is incredibly valuable. So moving to a newer technology solution that we developed from the beginning allowed us to do table side order taking in real time, goes to the kitchen, credit card processing, etc. Table side, so things that you'll often see in food and beverage in the last couple of years, kind of, but you never really see in the entertainment space. We were able to leverage those and make it a much more seamless experience for the customer that way. So we eventually figured it out, but it was definitely an unexpected hurdle from a guy who knew a little bit about food and probably more about the bar, but not much about making it all work together, and the challenges we were going to run into.
Yeah, I love that you talk about your experiences there, because there is a movie theater that we went to in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, New York, that was very interesting. They kind of did what you guys did. They combined the kind of entertainment eats with the movie, which, you can get your popcorn and your soda, but this was like coming to your seat and taking your order and giving you a cocktail while you watch a cool movie. I was like, this is the bomb.
Sounds
You
like
know,
Alamo.
yeah. That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
And so I loved the concept, and I was like, why are more movie theaters not doing this? So you guys doing what you're doing, yes, you can maybe in the past go get a soda or a hot dog, but coming there and having that quality customer care and taking side orders, and bringing it straight to the kitchen. What I'd like to talk about is the processes, because I think this is important for any new business owners getting started, that if the processes are not in place, it could just have your business crumble.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a lot of what the early days of any new concept are, right? Are establishing those standard operating procedures, documenting them and rolling them out, and making sure that as you open additional units, everyone is able to, deliver the same consistent experience, follow the same simple, steps that
Formula, yeah.
hopefully are simple and easy to follow if it's done well. So, I mean, making sure that everyone's, following the same protocol and understanding why they're doing it, which I think is a big part of getting those changes and processes to work on the ground is helping everyone understand, why are we doing it this way? This seems harder to me. Well, okay, there's a reason. We tried it these other ways, and here's how we ended up here. Here's why we think it's best. Yeah. And then you get some buy-in from the rest of your folks, and things tend to be stuck to, a lot better when we understand why we're doing things the way we do them.
Yeah, and now share with me, because I'm guessing, since you've grown so quickly, that quality customer care has been paramount with what you have to offer. What makes you different than some of the other eatery, entertainment type places, and how do you really accomplish that quality customer care?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? Built ground up with no purpose other than delivering a customer experience that met our expectations. We don't do league business or tournaments. We're not a competitive bowling establishment. We're there for the entertainment customer who wants to come out, have a good time and relax, and get great food and beverage service while they're in the building, whether they're playing pool, throwing darts, bowling, watching a sports game. Shouldn't matter where you are, what you're doing in our space. We've got a lot to offer, but we want to deliver that customer experience regardless of what you're doing in the building. And I think that's just kind of what you're seeing is, you mentioned Alamo. I think very similar to kind of the bowling industry, in the sense that you've got your traditional historical proprietors that have run cinemas or bowling alleys for a very long time, often multi-generational. They have a lot of ideas about what works and what doesn't. It's what's worked for them for a long time. But the reality, I think, is that the customer base is changing. The league bowler is kind of aging out of the sport. And the younger generation, whether it's Topgolf, Alamo, 810, we want everything at our fingertips with high quality food offerings, high quality bar offerings, a customer experience that brings us back in terms of service. And it's not going to be so much the way things used to work that is going to satisfy a millennial customer or anybody in the future. So, I think just us being able to kind of start as a new business with no preconceptions, focused only on delivering that experience and customer service end of it, without anything else pulling our our efforts, was the real key to being able to grow this quickly and get the feedback from our customers that we have.
Yeah, I could totally see that, Mike. Now, I'm curious though, because it looked like you started doing your concept, put it out there, but you went really quickly to franchise. Was that your initial idea? And did you see that would be more profitable? What brought you into becoming a franchisee or doing it, the business in that way, growing it in that way?
Yeah, so I think when we first opened our first store, actually, we had someone kind of on the franchise world came in out of New York, but was down there on vacation, and just said, this concept's amazing. Like, have you thought about, never heard of it till I got down here. Have you thought about franchising it? And at that point, we talked about it a bit. It's one avenue for growth, right, that a new concept can pursue. At that point, I was like, we're still figuring everything out ourselves. So let me get a little more of track record here and show that we can do this repeatably and execute before we go selling the model to anybody. But so that's why after third store opened, I kind of revisited that conversation. And it's a long process. It takes a while. There's a bunch of legal compliance, et cetera, that processes that need to happen. But at that point, after our third store, I felt like we've got a concept that's proven that when we've proven we can execute and open new stores, build new stores, and there's really no access to this industry for an individual investor. You've got your big players, like a main event is big where I am now out in Phoenix. In New York, it might be Brooklyn Bowl, Lucky Strike, Kings Bowl. But they all have one thing in common, that they're privately held corporate entities that are deep-pocketed and can get corporate financing and do very large build-outs. They'll build 60,000 feet ground up in the $8 to $10 million range. So it needs to, as we thought about what we could grow and find our space, it was on a smaller footprint through the franchise model allowed us to kind of make it more affordable and accessible to the individual investor while getting to have a financial partner and scaling a concept, as opposed to going a private equity route or other longer term debt financing. This seemed like a good way to have operating partners that knew their market where they were, and we know our concept, and we feel strongly our concept translates to anywhere in the country, right? I mean, a lot of franchises will be regional foodstuffs or regional, services or things that may be in demand in a particular market. But, there's challenges to our business for sure. But one of the very nice things about it is that no matter where you go in this country, families and young adults are looking for, quality entertainment that's local and reliable, reliably enjoyable. So as we go into new markets, we're finding that. So.
Yeah, I'm loving that you mentioned this, because anyone listening in, if you're a business owner and thought, hey, I wanted to start something like what Mike has here, they just might need to get in contact with you guys in the future to see about maybe franchising with you, because it is a viable way if you want to grow without having deep pockets or finding those investors where you have to give up a portion of the business. This can allow you to get started with your very own 810 Bowling. But you'll see at the bottom of the screen, that is how you can get in contact. It is 810bowling.com. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with before we head on out?
Yeah, I'm interested. I think on the franchise side, we're seeing a lot of growth now, and I think it's it's been great. A lot of people are attracted to this industry, but as you said, it's very hard to figure out how am I supposed to even get started on something like this. So I think that's why the franchise model works so well for us. We've a big thing that we did for our franchisees is negotiate a long-term equipment purchasing contract, so that whether we open a corporate store or franchise location, everyone's getting the same pricing and equipment package. And that's managing those logistics are a big challenge to kind of get one of these spaces open. So having that kind of tied up nicely and ready to go for our franchisees consistently in any market has been a huge benefit to them. And then just the operational support obviously is really what we're here to do. So, but we continue to expand both corporate locations and franchises at the same time. So I've always felt like if you're a franchisor and you think your idea is that good, you should probably be reinvesting in your concept as well. So, and as we operate more locations ourselves, I think it only, puts us in more of a driver's seat to be able to offer things to our franchisee locations and, invest in system-wide improvements that all 810 locations can benefit from. So we're excited for what the future holds. And, if anybody's interested in learning more, the website has an inquiry form, and you can kind of follow it from there.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome, Mike. I am so excited to get your Houston office or billiards place, bowling and billiards open, so we can come on down there and have some fun. But everyone, please go to 810bowling.com and find out where the closest location is to where you are. And thank you so much, Mike, for coming to unleash your story today. our savvy
Thank you
broadcasting.
so much. And we'll be sure to get you a grand opening invite when we get Houston open in a couple months. So we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.